Yo, what's up, guys? Doing Conclave of the Chosen here, the fifth boss, I think, in Battle for Dazar'alor. As marksmanship, we are going to start on Gonk's aspect. So basically, there are four aspects throughout the fight. They sort of represent the Loa, which are the gods of the Zandalari continent. Sort of, they are sort of the chosen representatives, I guess, of the Loa. So they don't have any names other than aspect of Gonk. So Gonk's aspect, I think the order, usually the kill order is Gonk and then Kimball and then Paku and then finally Akunda. Um, I mean, that's what we've done every time. I know you can do it differently a little bit, but those timings, they work out well because there's a few mechanics that each boss does specifically that are good to get out of the way first. So if you're killing that if you're killing that aspect first, their sort of specific mechanic is removed from the fight. So we're just going to start off with our regular double tap, aim shot stuff, and we're going to go on Gonk. And just one little thing for marksmanship here, even on Mythic, it's most likely that the boss will go below 90% before you are even casting your first rapid fire during True Shot. So that kind of can change your priorities a little bit. Like basically, what that means is you want to get those aim shots in when the boss is above 80%. I meant 80%, not 90%. Of course, that's the careful aim cutoff. You want to make sure that you're getting in those aim shots when the boss is still above 80% because they die pretty quickly just because there are four of them. So it's, you kill one, but then you have to go to the other one. So it's not over yet, obviously. So they do get to 80% very quickly. So just make sure if you want, do three aim shots at the beginning of your true shot instead of two. And it really depends. You might be doing that anyway, depending if you're heroing, lusting or not, using bloodlust. Usually we bloodlust kind of near the end of the fight. Um, but one of the big things of this fight is these ravenous stalkers will spawn from four corners. So four corners of the room. And they always spawn in the same spot. So you can put markers there to kind of be like, okay, well, you guys, you and you, go on that one, and then you and you go on that one. So you can kind of assign people to quadrants so that the stalkers are getting killed pretty quickly. Just because all they do is they fixate one player and they just slowly run after them, and I think they gain a stacking speed buff, so they start running faster and faster. And then if they actually get close to each other, the two stalkers, if they get kind of near each other, they will become immune to CC, so they can't be stunned or slowed or knocked back or anything like that. So as marksmanship hunter, of course, we have really good knockback. We have the bursting shot. So you want to use bursting shot on a stalker if you can, like right when it spawns, and just knock it the hell away and just, do good damage. Kill those stalkers quickly. On heroic here, you won't see too much worry about them. And make sure I do have I think it's a weak aura here that it shows that I'm being fixated, but it shows the specific one that is fixated on me, which is sort of a throwback to Mythic Gahoon, the little Gahooni ads that would fixate on you. You needed to know kind of which one was actually fixated, because there were like sometimes there was like 30 ads and you wouldn't know which one was fixated on you. So that's a useful um, uh, weak aura to have. So another thing here, you'll most likely have to start holding DPS at the beginning of the fight on the first aspect, because you want the bird. So this bird aspect, I think that's Paku, right? Yeah, that's the bird dude. He sort of spawns, and it's a spirit of Paku, and what he does is he goes around the room and then he lands, and then he starts doing this big wind attack which hits everything in the raid except for right underneath the bird. So you'll see that in a second. But what that means is you might have to hold DPS just so you get the bird to spawn at the right time, because every time one of the aspects dies, I think you take a big raid damage tick. Uh, yeah, so that was it, I think. And you don't get healed too, I think, something like that. So basically what you want to do is you want to have the bird coming out and then killing the boss, and then don't kill the boss during the wins. That's basically the only thing that you really want to avoid in this fight. So another thing here, Kragwa. So there's sort of a spirit of Kragwa. And again, you are fighting as the Alliance against the Horde here. So this is sort of the Horde, the Dazar'alor using the Loa to try and defend the attack, against the Alliance. So that's why, you're seeing all of the Horde Loa fighting against you. It's because we are the Alliance right now. Even though my character is Horde, this is one of those fights where you switch to Alliance. But another thing is the Kragwa Toad. He actually will jump around the room periodically. He'll spawn and then he jumps like 5 or 6 times, I think. And basically what he does, he jumps on the farthest target. So if you have a bunch of people in the middle of the room and then you have like 2 people on the edges, he'll usually jump from like the edge person to the edge person, and then probably into the middle and then like back out to an edge person. So for baiting, you just want to bait the Kragwa jump. You just want to make sure that you have people that are kind of out by themselves. And of course, Hunter is great for that because we have really long attack range. We can just stand way the hell back. So you can see there, Kragwa spawns and then he jumps, and you just got to move out of that. So what that is, it's it's pretty big damage, but it also knocks you back pretty far. It's a pretty big knockback. And it's a pretty slow, like kind of just big knockback. So it's not something that happens quickly. It's sort of a slow knockback. And what that can do, obviously, that's a big problem in the wins here. So during the win thing, when you have to run under Paku and like get safe underneath him, if there's a big Kragwa jump coming in and it hits everybody, they all get knocked out and they're out in the wins and they're taking shitloads of damage. So you definitely want to avoid doing that. And you will still, once in a while, you will get Kragwa to jump on you. So you just have to be aware of that. Just watch underneath you. It's kind of like the magma traps on Jadefire and other stuff. I mean, you just have to be aware of what's happening right underneath your character and just be ready to move if you have to. And I mean, as a hunter, I think you'll see in the mythic kill in a second, I'm usually standing away from the group, but still within the wins. And that kind of lets you have more room like around so that maybe I am the only one that gets jumped on, and then I can just dodge it as one person instead of having the entire raid have to dodge it. And then finally, there's another Akunda thing. So the Akunda related sort of mechanic is she, I guess. It's Akunda. I don't know if it has a fucking sex, but the mechanic is he puts a sort of, a debuff on you, and then after a second you explode with, the Akunda's Wrath. So you see it over here on Midoriya, it's fading, and then boom, so it explodes, and then those 5 orbs go out, and basically those orbs, they stun you and they do damage, so obviously just avoid them, and they'll go through you, so they go through you and they'll stun you, and then they'll go through into somebody else, so just be aware of that. And again, we're almost finished here. We're on the last boss. And there can only be 2 bosses out at once. And when one of the bosses dies, the other one that is up, so that second one, they heal to full life instantly. So, in terms of, parsing and on logs and stuff, it does not count any damage that you do to the other aspect when they're alive, because they just heal to full anyway. So it's designed that, if you're trying to pad by multi-dotting and it doesn't increase your single target, don't do that, because you want to make sure you're doing as much single target damage as you possibly can on the main target that you're on. So yeah, again, this is just heroic. It's pretty easy. This is it is a hectic fight. It probably is like kind of the most hectic, but within one area, so it's all one room, so at least you don't have to go into other phases and other rooms and like go around and do shit. It's all like within one area. And then finally there's another one there, and we'll see all these in Mythic again. The Kimball, the aspect of Kimball there, what he does is he marks like 3 or 4 players, and he jumps from each one in turn, and I think he stuns them for 1.5 or 2 seconds, not bad, and then it does some damage, but it puts a everlasting dot on you. That dot will remain for the rest of the fight. There's no way to dispel it. You can't heal it off. It sticks around. So this is Mythic. Let's just quickly jump right into Mythic. It's the same kill order. Again, we're going to be starting on Gonk. Make sure that you are misdirecting. And one of the things here, so the same thing here, you can see he's dropping 94%, 91, 90, 89, 87. So I'm rapid firing there. So that was maybe a mistake because I was rapid firing in those last seconds of careful aim. So just specifically for marksmanship there, like trying to get maybe one more aim shot in while careful aim is still active, like that would probably be a bit more damage than just rapid firing there, which is your normal rotation. So you might want to, that's one of those times where you just have to be aware of what's happening and be like, well, wait a second, like if I do my normal rotation, I'm going to be missing a careful aim window. So let's try to, throw in an aim shot first and then maybe go into rapid fire when gonk is at 79%, and meaning that aim shot isn't doing careful aim damage anymore. So another thing in Mythic here, so in Mythic, they will randomly hex people, and they have to run out. And I think that's in Heroic as well. I forget. Honestly, I don't do Heroic a lot. But in Mythic, this is just all the mechanics. So the toad there is spawning, as you can see. So the Kragwa is already jumping around. We just had hexes, and it's the same as in Atal Dazar, the hex priests or whatever, that hex people. If you are standing on someone else while you are hexed and then your hex expires or gets dispelled, that other person that's within your field, your hex area, they get hexed. So it can be a snowball effect. So you have to make sure that if you are, first of all, if you are dispelling someone, make sure that they're away from the group. Don't just instantly dispel them, because it will start hexing other people, and then they get hexed, and then more people get hexed. So it can be kind of fucked up. But here I'm just doing my normal rotation, but again, I've turned my camera around because this is where the and I'm dodging Kragwa, but that's right where the Stalker spawns. So I'm going to go over there, I'm going to knock him back, dodge Kragwa again, but just to be doing damage on the Stalkers. Those are very important, and as you can see, that guy was booking it for me, and he just got stunned. So I almost got hit by that. And they do, they do like 150,000 just like melee damage. They just run up and they just melee you. So they're just fixated and they just start, fucking your day up. So make sure you're watching where the fixated ad is on you. And again, there I'm using double tap, just because he's in careful aim. And I mean, holding it for true shot there is just not that great, just because this is a little bit of a hectic fight, and using a double tap on careful aim obviously is a way more damage than true shot. And then, so Paku was up, and then Paku healed, but we're not going on Paku, we're going on Kimball here. So Kimball just spawned into the fight. So we're going to Hunter's Mark, and remember, you want to make sure you're Hunter's marking the relevant target here. I don't switch Hunter's Mark to the Stalkers. And I've seen some questions about that in some of my other videos, like when to switch Hunter's Mark. And I mean, it's really just what you feel like doing. If you're good enough to focus on, okay, I need a Hunter's Mark, and it died, okay, Hunter's Mark, and then it died, making sure that if you can track your Hunter's Mark and make sure you have it up on a target, maybe it can be worth switching. I don't really want to manage my Hunter's Mark too much. Like I don't like spending that many globals on it. And I mean, the damage increase is pretty small. I mean, if you have perfect Hunter's Mark management, I mean, you could do maybe 1% more damage. And then if you have poor Hunter's Mark management, like if you're not ever switching it, or you are leaving it off for like 10 or 20 seconds on a target just because you forgot to apply it, I mean, you're going to be losing like 1 or 2% damage maybe. So it's not too big of a deal, but just make sure that you have it on something that you're hitting. I mean, that's basically the rule. And for this fight, I just leave it on the relevant aspect. So on Mythic, the ring is smaller. The actual safety ring is a little bit smaller, and so that makes the Kragwa jumps even worse. So as you can see here, I'm a little bit away from the main raid. So the main raid, most of the people are over here on the left side of the ring, and I'm over here just because I want to have another separate target for Kragwa to jump on, if he feels so inclined to jump on me instead of the other stuff. And so again, right when the Stalkers are spawning, you definitely want to be getting on them. I just used True Shot there. I've never done really great DPS on this fight. I don't really know why. I just haven't really focused on doing a great parse or anything. it's probably mostly, you know, to do with my true shot management, or yeah, true shot cooldown, and just, you know, making sure I'm always hitting a target and stuff like that. But I've never really cared about my damage on this fight, just because this fight is, it's a bit more about doing the mechanics correctly and making sure that you're saving the raid some sort of grief by like baiting Kragwa and killing the stalkers and making sure you're in the right position and stuff like that. It can actually save, you know, a lot of healing and save a lot of trouble. But if you can do all of that and still do great damage, obviously that's what you want to be focusing on. And again, I'm going to be standing just a little bit away from the main group here. Well, I guess I'm in the main group now, because I guess Kragwa isn't up. Yeah, so Kragwa is not up right now, so that's fine to stand with the group, of course. And there, so during those wins, sometimes you will get these timers on Mythic, and I'm sure it'll happen on Heroic as well. But you will get the timing where sometimes the stalkers will come out during wins, so you're kind of, you know, the melee won't be able to run out and hit the stalkers because the wind damage is really bad. And there we got to see one of the other mechanics. This is a mechanic on all difficulties. It's on LFR, normal, heroic, and on mythic it's the same. It's just a 30-second silence where it actually just deletes your bars and you can't do anything. You can move and that's it. You can only move your characters. So this just simply, it just needs to be dispelled. So you know, you just have to dispel it as a healer. And of course for mythic that can get a little hectic. There's another thing on, and I think it's only on mythic. Again, you can just check the dungeon journal to see what difficulties these mechanics are on, but I'm just going to explain them all. There's another one where it's like the curse of Bwansamdi or something, but it's a hand that will spawn randomly, and I think there's only 3 or 4 of them during the whole fight, and they just stick around for the whole fight because there's no way to actually get rid of them. So what it is, it's like this hand that like slowly comes towards you and then it grabs you and it puts a debuff on you, and the debuff is simply you take no healing. So while you have the debuff, you don't take any healing. So the way to manage that is when somebody is at like full health or like 80, you know, 70, 80% health, like you can just leave the no healing debuff on them, because it's like, well, they're pretty healthy and we don't need to heal them right now. Like maybe if they get a mechanic or they take a little bit of damage, then you dispel the healing debuff and then you heal them. Because every time you dispel the Hand of Bwansamdi thing, the hand, it just leaves you and then it goes to the nearest ally. So it goes, so like right here, for example, if I got dispelled with the healing debuff, it would go right to Fulm right next to me. And then he would have the healing debuff, and then he would maybe carry it for a few seconds, you know, and then he would dispel himself, somebody would dispel him, and then it would go to the next closest target. So what this means is, as melee and as ranged, you don't want to ever be really close to the tanks, especially if you have the debuff, the healing debuff, because if you get dispelled and you're nearest to a tank, then the no healing debuff is going to go to the tank. And I mean, you can dispel it off the tank instantly, like if you're quick, and I mean, obviously that's an option, but that's just, you know, that just invites a little bit more danger and sort of RNG into the fight, where if your tanks are not getting any heals for just like 1 or 2 seconds, they might get, you know, they might get wombo comboed. Maybe they are already at 40% health or something, like, and then they can't take any healing, and then they, you know, they die. So you have to watch that. Definitely have to watch that, the healing debuff. And basically at the end of the fight, basically by the time the fight is ending, you're almost constantly dispelling. And that means balanced druids as well. Like our balanced druids were good about that. They were basically by the end of the fight, they were just dispelling on cooldown. Just keep dispelling over and over and over just to keep that healing debuff off of people. And basically keep it in transit, because you know, as it's traveling to its next person, it doesn't have a debuff on anyone. So if you just keep dispelling, then it basically spends most of its time in transit, and it doesn't actually have too much of an uptime on people with the debuff. Another thing, Akunda's aspect on all difficulties. This is the Thundering Storm. So around Akunda here, this is a big melee thing, of course. You don't want to be sitting on the boss when that goes off, because I think it stuns you for at least 2 or 3 seconds, and it does a lot of damage, of course. I think it's basically lethal on Mythic if you're getting hit by that. And again, this is another, kind of unfortunate timing where we have the winds, so we all have to stack up, but then the stalkers spawn. So here we have 2 monk rings to just kind of push the stalkers out for now. And as ranged, you want to switch to the stalkers immediately, and then let the melee hit the boss, because that's the only thing they can hit. And I'll just pop my true shot here just to try to blow up the ads quickly. And that's basically it. I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff to watch. You have to probably do it a few times to really see all of the timings and all the mechanics coming out. And then, so yeah, Akunda is he's the big Stegodon, like electric Stegodon dude, or whatever the species, the made up Warcraft species is. And when he spawns, then he like stomps his foot, and that's when the Akunda's Wrath comes out, and that's the thing again that explodes with the stunning orbs. So you don't want to run those into melee, of course. And as you can see there, I actually suck at this game, of course. So I ran into my own orb. Because, I mean, I can see my own countdown. Like, I'm saying it in chat. Like, it's not like I'm, unaware of this. So that was just bad play. But as you can see, these other good players, they're at the edge of the room and they're waiting. And then they drop it, but I'm like still running out with it. So I actually drop it there, but then I keep running and I run into my own orb. So you can run faster than the orbs. And if you wanted to, you could keep stunning yourself over and over and kill yourself if you're an idiot. And there I actually get stunned twice. I definitely have never made any claims to being a good player. I just kind of, this has been a pretty fun tier for me. So I just wanted to share some of these boss fights. But I definitely fuck up a lot, especially on this fight. Like, I don't know why. I just have never been that great on this fight. So that was a really lucky sort of Kragwa bait. Just because, this is the last boss. So we are on the final boss. And I think, yeah, this is when we usually lust. It's like on the last guy, just so that we can execute and finish off the boss, because the healing debuffs are going out. They're just really becoming a problem at this point, because we're all stacked a lot. So there you can see I was the only one that was kind of removed from the group. Like, I moved to the back of the winds, and then I baited that out, and I actually got knocked out. I didn't move fast enough. So let's just see how fast I moved. So I kind of moved, but I almost made it. I mean, I'm on the edge. I almost made it. I thought maybe I made it, but I got knocked out there, and then the winds killed me. And I did get silenced there too. So, I mean, maybe that was lucky. Like, they silenced the person that was dying immediately. So this is basically how most of my kills have gone on this boss on Mythic, is I have been usually dead when we finish it. It is a tough fight. I mean, it's, there's a lot of healing, intense healing, and there's some little shits you can take damage from. So just have to be careful about that. I got a resurrection there from Bay. Thanks, Bay. And again, like right now, the dispels are going out really fast. So if you want to, you can see the raid frames here. So there's only 3 up, and I just fat fingered the H. And you can see people are just constantly getting debuffs, so they're just basically dispelling it all the time. They're just almost full-time dispelling it, especially the balanced druids, of course. But yeah, that is Mythic, Conclave of the Chosen. It's definitely, like I said, it can be a very hectic fight. Some of the other fights, I've said they were hectic, but this one, I think, takes the cake of the whole raid for being the most sort of, just in one little area, and just like there's fucking lightning bolts and big blasts going off, and there's toads jumping everywhere and knocking you back, and then you have to run into the winds. It's all within one little area, and that maybe is what makes it kind of difficult, just because there's not a whole lot of space to really spread out. Like, most of the, mechanics are really like centralized just within the fight. But yeah, that's Mythic. And I think, is this the drop where I get my, well, I don't know. I cut it off too early there, but I did get a 925 weapon. That's my big fat ass terror wing bow I have from this fight. So I'm pretty proud of that. But yeah, that is Mythic Conclave, and definitely tough fight, but can be fun. Maybe one day I'll get a good parse on it, a good kill, but we'll see. And we will go on to the next boss, which is, what is that? King Rosticon, right? Okay, yeah, we'll see you there.